There's a quote that the great Martin Luther King had in his letter from Birmingham jail. And the quote is, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Any of us should be shaken by what has occurred with Ken Middleton.
In Kenneth Middleton's case, you see a lot of the mistakes that happen in rural police departments.
The victim being undressed at the scene. That is not typically the way it goes. Generally, the scene belongs to the police and the body belongs to the medical examiner or coroner. And the body, does not typically get manipulated before a medical legal investigator examines the body, or they get permission from the medical examiner, that sort of thing.
I was unhappy and perplexed when I saw that the firearm was moved from the floor onto an ottoman and the cylinder was opened, and then a second officer moved it again or handled it again. None of that should have happened. Disassembling the firearm at a scene is absolutely, totally inappropriate.
Was there ever a gunshot residue test of the left hand? Of who? Of Mrs. Middleton. I don't recall.
When they want to test to see if someone has fired a weapon, you look to see if you can find gunpowder on them.
Typically, error correction is just a single line through with your initials and date. And what makes it concerning is that there is whiteout on the laboratory requisition paperwork. And so it's still just a big question hanging out there whether that kit was actually collected and what happened to it. Not having photographs of the pristine scene or the scene as it was when they arrived is particularly problematic. It does not appear that standard procedure was undertaken in the processing of the Middleton scene. So in general, there are two kind of axioms in crime scene investigation, and that's if it wasn't photographed, it wasn't seen, and if it wasn't documented, it wasn't done. And if we use just those two axioms and look at this case, you can see that there's mountains of problems.
And when things happen in a really serious case in a short amount of time, there are a lot of opportunities for mistakes to be made, for things to be overlooked, to misinterpret the results of different things, and that compounds to create a wrongful conviction.
Bob Duncan had a good reputation up until his failed retirement and financial problems, and after he came back and started practicing law, which was around the time Ken got charged, that's when he messed up a lot of cases.
We put forth evidence of ineffective assistance of counsel on his lawyer, but I think what's most important is why he was ineffective.
Duncan didn't put on any defense, didn't call a single witness, didn't hire any experts to try to refute the state's theory that it was an intentional, premeditated killing instead of an accident.
And it come out less than 6 months later, after I was convicted, he owed $665,000 in federal income tax and on the verge of going to prison, and he pled guilty and spending a halfway house something and got disbarred over it.
When counsel is ineffective, a defendant's right to a fair trial and to counsel has been denied. And so the Constitution demands that we don't prosecute, convict, and sentence people without due process and a fair trial, including effective assistance of counsel.
During the post-conviction hearing that was successful, at least in front of the trial court, The lawyer that did that put on the evidence that Duncan should have put on at trial to show that he was ineffective for not doing that.
She ruled that because the jury didn't hear evidence of innocence, and had they heard that evidence of innocence, he wouldn't have been convicted. The former governor testified for us.
And he testified that in 41 years that this was the worst case that he'd ever seen. And they asked him, well, what would you have done if this case would have come in front of you when you was governor? He said, I've thought about that. I would have given him a full pardon.
What kind of justice system are we dealing with that allows us to walk into a courtroom in front of the trial judge and prove that we're wrongfully convicted, just to turn around and say, no, you won in the wrong courtroom, you should have won in this other courtroom?
A series of elected prosecutors of all, at least 3, maybe 4, have refused to intervene for whatever reason. I think there may be some political issues there.
What do I think Prosecutor Johnson can do differently? Reopen the case, get Ken Middleton in front of a jury, and let the evidence play itself out.
So whether or not this case would have resulted in a conviction based on the issues that we know about today, I would be surprised if it went to trial. You know, each one of the issues on their own may not be a huge deal, but cumulatively the problems are immense.
You know, there's an old saying in the criminal justice world: prosecutors do not like to be wrong. I think that has been the biggest obstacle in gaining justice in this case. Overturning a murder conviction could possibly cost you your job. But part of your job, the main part of your job, is to seek justice. And if there's an injustice and there's credible evidence of an injustice, you have an ethical duty to right that wrong. He has a family that hasn't given up on him.
It would be harder for me to give up than to keep fighting.
Middleton hopes they'll get the message and help get his father out of jail.
And again, you know, I've lived this for 14 years, and I support him 100%. And I know that he's not going to stop until his dad comes out.
I appreciate all he's done, but he shouldn't have had to go through all this for 35 years.
I think he's kind of in jail with his dad, you know, because that's his life. For, you know, since I've known him for 14 years, that's his life.
When you have a state that has the death penalty and executes people very regularly, and my father has the death penalty without a date, and that's exactly what it is.
I don't know how much you've seen of Crossroads, but that's where you go to die, you know, and people don't leave there unless they leave by hearse.
I've written so many stories about wrongfully convicted individuals in the state of Missouri. It's beyond comprehension, the level of injustice that's going on in this state.
What is your greatest hope for Cliff and Ken and your family?
That he comes out and he's able to enjoy the family, you know, just for him to be able to still experience that in the days that he has left.
The first thing I'd want to do is have me and my family and all my kids up there hugging him, walking out of that door. I would take him straight to Arkansas. That's where he deserves to be, and he has deserved to be for a long time.
I love you, and I hope to see you soon and get to hug you. All of my grandkids and great-grandkids, Cliff and his wife and all.
There's no greater need than to try to right this wrong. And I just pray that this helps and that Ken will be finally free.